It will now come to order. Our first order of business is roll call. The clerk of Senate will now take roll.
Hello everyone, we're about to get started with the roll. If you're here as a proxy, please raise your hand and say proxy when you hear the name of your senator. Nadia Alfaraje. Here. Crystal Alvarez.
Here.
Kwamina Awatwi.
Proxy.
Fantasy Bias. Here. Catalina Carvajal. Here. Holly Carbine. Here. Antonio Cardenas.
Here.
Justin Dowse.
Here.
Alana De La Torre.
Here.
Maya De La Torre.
Here.
Max Donahue.
Here.
Andrew DeHovic.
Here.
Eliza Guiraud. Valerie Jaimes.
Here.
Yoshvi Kaladi.
Here.
Jesse Magana.
Here.
Mary Logan Miskey.
Here.
Simon Mizrahi.
Here.
Chidi Okaru.
Here.
Rhonda Papp.
Here.
Anaya Pendleton.
Here.
Maya Ramirez.
Here.
Brianna Rivas.
Here.
Andrew Snyder.
Here.
Angela Tharp.
Here.
Anieli Villegas Ferreira.
Here.
Vida Pasugian.
Here.
Daniela Walter.
Here.
Justice Soto.
Here.
Let the record reflect that quorum is met. Our second order of business is the approval of the agenda. I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
So there's a motion on the floor to approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, we need to amend the agenda. Item D, 8D, approval of new student org should be changed to approval of re-registering student orgs. Do you want to make a motion?
We can make a subsidiary motion, so like both motions can be on the table and you choose. So,
Okay, I move to amend item 8D from approval of new student organizations to approval of re-registering organizations.
so we can just discuss which one we want, either approve it as is or the other motion of approve it with the amendment. So we can choose to approve it as is or approve it with the amendment. We have two motions on the table now. So just say what you want to approve and then we can just go with that one.
Approve with amendment.
Second.
So there's a motion on the floor to amend the agenda under new business, item D, to approval of re-registering student organizations. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your placards and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Motion passes. The agenda is now amended. So now, having amended the agenda, are there any motions to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please raise your placards and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Motion passes. The agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is a quick report from me. My apologies, jumping ahead. Our next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from last week's meetings.
I move to approve the minutes from last week's meeting.
There's a motion on the floor to approve last week's minutes. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your placards and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Motion passes. The minutes are approved. Now is a report from Speaker of the Senate. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. So in order for us to have an organized process to submit your budget requests, we're gonna now have this new process that I'm gonna introduce to you. So our lead person who you should contact regarding requests that are under $1,500, you should contact Inaya, our parliamentarian. From there, she will make sure to spread out the information to the Senate lead team, which includes myself, Maya de la Torre, your Speaker Pro Temp, and Michaela, who's Clerk of Senate. But there is now this form, which is pretty straightforward, which is what we're gonna start using. It's pretty straightforward, as you can see. It's just your name, committee, and date, a description of your initiative or why you're requesting this money, and also a description of the items that will be purchased. And then, of course, in addition, your total cost, and then we will make note of the total budget remaining. And so from here, the Senate lead team will make a decision. We will all contact Inaya, and Inaya will be contacting you all about the decision we all made, whether that's to approve your request or deny it. Again, it's requests that are under $1,500 that you can directly take to the Senate lead team. From there, or anything over that, you have to bring to the Senate floor. And of course, you have to notify me so I can add that to the agenda. But yeah, are there any questions about the new budget request process? Yeah.
Is there like a time frame? Like, is there like a 2 weeks notice before you send it, or like?
Before I
Like,
send.
say like you need it for November 30th. Like, would you have to send it 2 weeks ahead of that date?
For if you have to present to Senate?
Yeah.
So I think notifying me before I make the agenda of the meeting where you would like to present, I mean, anywhere before that is fine, I would say. Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat what you
Yeah, so I'll be sending it out to all of you, but it is under our team drive. It's just maybe a little hard to find. Grayson?
What day do you typically send out the agenda?
So the agendas are always sent out Tuesdays. Any other questions? Okay. What? Oh, sorry.
Just back up a little bit.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to remind you all that we are videotaping your Senate meetings. And so just for you all to be conscious about the ways you are either expressing through your face or your hand gestures, how you are feeling or how you are reacting, just to be conscious of that, because now your constituents and everyone else gets to see how you are representing them on this space. And so I just wanted you all to be aware of that. Also, if you're having side combos and it's being videotaped, maybe it's not going to be taken so well, so just things to be mindful of. The last thing is that Exec has been talking a lot about having an open forum, kind of like a town hall meeting for the student body. And so we've been working with the details of it, and we have finalized a date. Of course, you're all invited to be there. I don't want to make it mandatory, but as student representatives, you should be there to listen to what your constituents and other students are feeling and voicing. And so this forum will happen November 13th, starting at 7 p.m. downstairs at Aromas. As soon as we finalize a flyer, I'll be sending those out to you all as well, so you can spread the news. yeah, it's in about 2 weeks, so I think that's enough time for you all to spread the word and plan ahead for it. Are there any questions? Yeah.
Can we wear the polo to November 13th?
You can, just so people can notice that you are part of ASG. However, I don't mind if you all don't show up. Maybe just your name tags, if you are there. Any other questions? All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda are reports from committee chairs. And, oh cool, Rhonda.
So right now I'm working on basically speaking with people about their issues with sustainability on campus, maybe solutions that they have. Currently we have Chief Mayor Shero in the Department of Public Safety. He's having an open house in February in which we can ask for more sustainable bottles on campus, because I know that was something that our constituents brought up to us about how many freshmen got sustainable bottles and other upperclassmen and sophomores did not. I will be working with people from the University Innovation Fellowship as well as other students. I'm meeting with them this week and next week and possibly the week after that in order to find solutions, possibly a Tupperware option, and just discussing different ways that we can approach sustainability on our campus.
Hi, I'll be talking about student wellness. So actually Liz McCarthy, if you don't mind raising your hand, she's here today representing. So she's the program coordinator for health and wellness. And so I just kind of wanted to give you guys an update on that. For mental health, we have mental health check-ins. And so there's a poster going around. I would love to coordinate with the people who work the social media for ASG so that we can post this so that people know. But the check-ins will be Wednesday, November 13th in the UC Forums from 4 to 6. And it's basically a 15-minute checkup that will be confidential, just like with the check-in student wellness advisor and professional, if that's something that you guys are interested in. There's also going to be a QPR, which is an hour-long training that's free, Tuesday, November 5th at 12:30. And again, the posters will hopefully be out through ASG and other people, but follow USD Wellness too, or Be Well, I believe. And then on a positive note, I know I said it last year, but since we have other people joining us today, I just want to say it again. Good news for the flu shots. We had over 745 of those basically that happened, so that's a pretty big deal because that's a big number that we haven't had in a couple years. So that there's good news on that. Also, in addition to being on the Student Life Committee, like she said, we were working with Chief Mayor Shero, and I just had a meeting with him the other day, and really good news. I'm really excited about this, but the trams will be taking students to the grocery store and Target bi-weekly every month on Sunday for 3 hours, normally during the day. And some of you are probably don't we already have that? We did have that last year and it kind of died, and they really just needed people to start that again. So I'm really excited about that. They're oh yeah, that's really easy. It's also free for the trams on Saturday and Sunday during the weekend. So I'm really excited about that. Be on the lookout. The first time that'll happen is, I believe, November 10th. So that gives us the time to start promoting that. So hopefully I'll work on my Student Life Committee to get that started too. So that's it for me.
Hi, my name is Fantasy. I'm chair of the Student Board Committee. Just some updates we have. We do have re-registering student boards that we'll be presenting today. Also, we are working on a student board mixer. I don't know if any of y'all have been to any in the past, but basically it's just going to be either a more social or educational event for student boards to either collaborate with each other or just learn about logistics like EVRs, how to request funding, different things like that. So if you have topics or themes in mind, please come to me or anyone from the Student Board Committee. We will just say the date for the week of November 18th. It's the week before our break, so that's when it will be. It'll be in the evening. We were thinking of maybe doing snacks, s'mores, something like that, something fun, but also to be in community with everyone and make sure we are giving them as much information as possible.
All right, hi everyone. Happy Thursday. Really quickly, I just want to update you all. So we have the ID&E committee planned for an event to be on Tuesday. Currently, thank you for the flyer. So currently, we are rethinking of having it on Tuesday, and here's the reason why. So we are going to be conducting a survey with students that will launch at this event, but then further than that, the committee members will be sending it out to different orgs, and we hope to kind of get out in more of a mass. Sent out in a mass. Originally, when we thought of creating the survey, we thought of just very simply creating it on Google, like a Google form. Google form. But because we want to protect like students' identities, if they don't want to share them, if they don't want to share their email, thing like that, Amber, our GA, so graciously reached out and offered to help us put the survey onto Qualtrics. Is that what it's called? Right? Mm-hmm. Qualtrics, which is like a system that most of us get surveys from like USC as a campus on, and that way that students' like identities are protected, that they didn't want to use it, because there's a portion in the survey that we asked for students' email if they want to be reached out to about a certain topic. So because of that, we're thinking of moving the event back to the 12th, only because this is me speaking as a sociology major, from a qualitative, quantitative method, like it would be best to use Qualtrics because of the information that it gives us in terms of data and how we can use that data to better help students with information that we're trying to receive from them. And so we're going to convene, this is an announcement as well, convene really quickly as a committee after the meeting so that we can make that final decision. And then we'll send out an updated flyer and keep everyone posted on what is happening with that. And then just very briefly, I'm not going to make like a full statement or anything, but I do want to name that we're all aware of the hate crime that took place on Thursday, and later on in the agenda we'll get to hear from a brave individual who shared their story. But I want to remind everyone that hate crimes to USD aren't anything that are new. It is something that has happened on campus before, whether we've seen swastikas on like the bathroom stalls or in other places, homophobic and transphobic markings have been placed around campus before, and it's really simple. If you Google it, you can find it in the reports from public safety. And so I want us all to be aware that this is something that is very serious, and it is something that happens constantly, not just here in the bubble at USC, but in the world around us. And it's something to be not taken lightly. I just ask you all that you think about the words that you use, the language that you use on a daily basis, what you replace the word stupid with, how you use your words, and then also to think in the context of allyship and how you are an ally to other people. And it doesn't mean showing up to a pride parade, that doesn't make you an ally, but it means being there when things are really rough for the community. And as a member of that community, I ask you all to just think inwardly about this experience and what's happening on campus and how it might be affecting others outwardly as well. Thank you.
Can I add? There's a vigil today, Mariam Crossroads at 6, in light of the hate crime. If you want to attend to support LGBTQ community.
Hi everyone, happy Halloween. I'm Maya, Student Life Committee Chair. And so my update is regarding our LIFT initiative we're trying to push. For info, it is something where we would provide some kind of funds for students to be able to get to the San Diego International Airport during breaks. Mostly, we're trying to get this in before winter break, but we would love to know student input so we can get a rough estimate of who would actually use these codes. So we're thinking of sending out a survey. I know it's another survey, but it's effective. But I would also invite you all to ask your constituents. And now that we have a lot of constituents here today, maybe when the survey goes out, please engage. And also maybe even during the public time. I know you guys are here for a lot of you all are here for other things, but you know, maybe you could let me know if you guys are, or if y'all are interested in that. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Daniela. I'm the Academic Committee Chair. So a few updates. First, we went through with our Meet Your Academic Committee meeting. So we will be having a meeting November 19th, which is a Tuesday during dead hours. And it's just going to be a table where the whole academic committee will be there, and we will be there to listen to the student body's opinions, anything that they have to say, any advice that they have to give us. We'll be there to listen, they can ask questions, and we just want to hear the student body's opinions and the needs that we need to address. So that is November 19th, which is a Tuesday during dead hours. Secondly, we are still going with our study space initiatives. So we are circulating flyers for study spaces, which will name all the available spaces that students can study and their available times. Furthermore, we're working on creating maps. So we will have maps being on poster boards around campus. So we've been working with the Creative Zone to get these out. And they will essentially have at each location a map where you are and where the nearest study spaces are. So this is to facilitate students' access to study spaces, since we all know that the library is under construction. And last update, we have begun a printing initiative. So this is to give credit to students for WEPA printing. So last year, what we did, we were with a different printing system. We were with the Pharaoh's printing system, and now we've switched to WEPA, as most of you guys know. And so with WEPA, what we're trying to do is last semester and last year, we gave $5 on campus cash. We had $5 campus cash allocated to each student. It turned out to be ineffective because it was difficult to monitor how students were spending it. And so now we are working with WEPA. We're going to try and make sure we can track the students and make sure that we put money onto the WEPA account so we can ensure that students are spending their money towards printing. And then we're additionally, with WEPA, we'll be able to see, since you guys know that WEPA printers are based around campus, so we'd be able to easily track where things are being printed, and so that would allow us to allocate money to the proper departments, because last year there was an issue in terms of departments not getting proper funding because it was very difficult to track where each student was printing. And so we are currently working with WEPA so that it can facilitate students printing, and so that is essentially our updates. But I will keep you updated with that as we get more communication with the IT desk and with WEPA printing.
Mariam?
Quick question, where are you locating the tabling for the event?
So the tabling for the event, right now, it's either going to be in between the Immaculata and Aroma's lawn, or simply right in front of the Maher lawn. So it's either the lawn right in front or next to, but we were going to be posting on flyers and advertising to you guys. You just need to get in contact with the event desk. But once that gets back to us, we'll be posting it around so you guys are all very aware of where you guys can meet us.
Hello everyone. Hope you guys are having a good day. So men's basketball opening night on November 5th is coming up. It's gonna be a great game. We're gonna have board and brew there. We're gonna be tabling during dead hours right in front of Olin Hall, handing out tickets. We are in talks with having members of the basketball team present there to help us hand out tickets. The tailgate is following that. It's the same night right before the game at 5:30. I encourage all of you guys to come. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be DJ. It's gonna be cool. That's it.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda are reports from ASG Executive Board, and we can start with Marion.
Hi everyone, so I just have one quick update for you all. As part of Faculty Senate, there is a whole committee called for grade appeals. And what they're asking for from ASG is for us to identify 3 senators who fall under the CAS majoring. So you don't have to be a CAS senator. If you're a residential senator who also majors in a CAS major, that's totally fine. But if you could please reach out to me after the Senate meeting and let me know if you're interested, as we need to submit 3 names for that, for the appeal court to start. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. As Daniela mentioned, and I have on prior occasions, we created a study spaces flyer that allows kind of giving all the available study spaces. We are working to circulate that at this time. I will also be sending it out to all of you, so please share that with your constituents. Secondly, the academic grants application is now live. Deadline is on November 14th at 5 p.m. Please tell your constituents. It's a great opportunity for students to receive undergraduate funding. We have a pot of over of $25,000 on top of travel. It's for the students, so please share it. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Public Relations Chair. I want to recognize that there's a lot of people in here who are visiting us for the first time. So I'd like to reiterate again to the Senate and the whole body that if you want to keep track of like what goes on in Senate, we do have recordings that are posted onto the website along with the Senate minutes and the agenda under the Senate tab on our website. So that is a resource for everyone. For the Senate, just a heads up, now that we have our polos, we're going to be taking individual headshots. For the website, that'll include your photo, your location of your office hours, and the times. This will also be resources for students to know who their representatives are and their information so they can access you. Also, if you have initiatives that you have, I'm going to let you all know again, please use me as a resource so I can send that out to either newsletters, put it on our social media, and just get the word out. And then the last thing, I know we have like a publicity committee team now. I've only received 3 calendars, and I know I'm missing 4 calendars from other people. So please, excuse me. So please send me those calendars by today. They were due Wednesday, so we can set up a time to meet. Thank you.
I just want to let you all know that Finance Committee met on Tuesday. We have scheduled another meeting for 2 weeks from now to address more pressing matters with a lot more information available. But as you see in your agenda, we are going to discuss one of the allocations that we are referring to you guys to vote on today.
Hi everyone. I just really wanted to echo what Drew said about the basketball game. It's going to be really exciting. The tailgate before is going to be very fun, so I really encourage you all to go to that. It's a collaboration with athletics, TBB, Bull Pit, so it's going to be a really great way to not only meet other people, but to get involved with other orgs on campus. In addition, I know that Maya reached out to me asking about the rest of the TBB events that y'all can help out with. I'm working with Marion to make sure that I send those all out to you so you have enough time if you would like to help with those. We have probably like 4 or 5 events for the rest of the semester. None next week, so the week after. So hopefully either by the end of today I can send that out to everyone so you know what our events are going to be. Thanks.
Hello everyone, my name is Leslie Martinez and I'm the Chief of Staff for this year. Just one quick update. This semester I am part of University Senate and more specifically the ad hoc committee that deals with transfer policy. If there are any transfers in the room or you know of any transfers, please connect with me. I would really like to hear about your experience and how the faculty and I could better serve you. So I'll be staying a few minutes after the meeting if anybody wants to come up and give me their email or chat a little bit.
Crystal?
Madam Speaker, may I address my I just clarification on what were the 3 names that you needed for the cast? Like, what is it going to?
Yes. Okay. So part of Faculty Senate is creating a grade grievance, like a grade appeal committee. And on that committee, there is 1 student that sits on it. And they're currently creating the one for CAS, which is the College of Arts and Sciences. So they are asking us to find 3 names of students who are part of CAS, so a major within that. So just the only people who could be a part of it are people with a business school or engineering school. And for us to give them those 3 names, from those 3 names, whenever a grievance or appeal comes in, one of those 3 students will be tapped to be a part of that committee. Is that more clarifying?
Any other questions? Cool. So moving on to our next item on the agenda is new business. We have Paige Hopkins, a representative from the Office of Sustainability, to present to us some information about what sustainability looks like on campus.
Alrighty, hi everyone, my name is Paige Hopkins. I'm a senior here at USD. I'm also the Education Student Assistant in the Office of Sustainability. I also have a tag, if you can see it. Thanks, official. And today I'm basically talking to you guys about sustainability at USD. As representatives for the university, we think it's important that you're informed about the initiatives on campus. So kind of the general initiatives as well as where there is area for improvement and what you guys can do to contribute that. So we're going to jump right in. There will be some time at the end for comments or questions if you have anything. And yeah, let's get started. All right, so first of all, defining sustainability. I think sustainability is kind of a word that we throw around a lot. We don't often take the time to define it. So the definition that our office uses, that we run with as a campus, is the EPA definition. This says to pursue sustainability is to create conditions under which humans and nature can exist in productive harmony to support present and future generations. Another very popular way of thinking about it is the 3 Ps, also known as the triple bottom line. So that's going to be profit, people, and planet. And so this viewpoint essentially says that any organization, any business needs to always keep the 3 Ps in mind. So they need to be aware of how their organization obviously is making money. You want to turn a profit. But you also need to be thinking about the people, both the people who work for your organization and the community in which you're operating, and you need to be thinking about the planet. So the environmental impact the organization has and how you can mitigate or even eliminate that environmental impact. So before we dive a little bit more into specific initiatives about USD, I think it's really helpful to look at this quote. So I know a lot of times when we talk about sustainability initiatives, things like climate change come to mind. Pollution, water, air, these are big issues, and it can feel very overwhelming and very difficult to tackle them. So I'd like to refer to this quote from Michael Pollan. He's an author who writes a lot about environmental issues. He says, "The climate change crisis is at its very bottom, a crisis of lifestyle, of character even. The big problem is nothing more or less than the sum total of countless little everyday choices. For us to wait for legislation or technology to solve the problem of how we're living our lives suggests that we're not really serious about changing, something that our politicians cannot fail to notice. They will not move until we do." So I encourage you to keep this quote in mind as we go through our presentation here, and really keep in mind that he's saying that our actions matter, our beliefs matter, what we prioritize matter, especially as associated students. You guys are representatives for our university, and what you make a priority becomes a priority for our whole campus. So I encourage you to think about this as we go through. All right, so ongoing efforts at USD. Can I just get a super quick show of hands? Can you raise your hand if you can think off the top of your head one sustainability initiative at USD? Just throw them up. Okay, good, the majority of you. Hopefully you know a few more by the end of this. So some highlights. USD has seen a 9% water consumption decrease from 2010 to 2018. During the same time frame, we've also seen a 28% energy consumption decrease. We offer 395 sustainability-related courses. So these are in a wide variety of majors. We're trying to make it relevant for every student here on campus. And we also have a climate action plan. So this was released in 2016 in response to the ongoing crisis of climate change. It essentially details the university's response to prepare and mitigate the effects of climate change. And then just last week, actually, maybe you heard about it, President Harris signed a commitment reaffirming his commitment to this climate change plan and pledging to be carbon neutral by 2035. And USD has received recognition for our efforts. We've been ranked on the Princeton Review's Green College Honor Roll and Sierra Magazine's Cool School List. This is not to say there's not room for improvement, only that we have made significant strides and we've seen recognition for that. So what are our target areas? What's a priority for us? There's 6 major areas. Number 1 is going to be energy. 2, commuting. Fleet, so this refers to the vehicles we have on campus, primarily trams. Water, zero waste, and air travel. And for the purposes of this presentation, we're going to break waste down into waste and food waste, and then we're going to lump commuting, fleet, and air travel together into transportation. So water. So we live in Southern California, in San Diego. While we're no longer officially in a drought, we are still a very drought-prone area. This means that there are ongoing water deficits and that crop growth is still very slow. San Diego currently imports about 80% of our water. 50% of these imports come from a single source, that is the Colorado River. And in 2016, the average San Diegan used about 88 gallons of water every day. So this is pretty normal for the United States. The average citizen uses about 80 to 100 gallons of water every day. However, keeping in mind that we live in a very drought-prone area and that we are importing a, oh gosh, sorry everyone, we're importing a large portion of our water. It is very important for us to be conscious of our water usage. So what is USD doing to address this? We have drought-resistant landscaping. So across campus, wherever we can, we're trying to put in drought-resistant landscaping. Think things like succulents, cactus, things that aren't going to require a lot of water. Obviously, there are some exceptions. Kolaches Plaza comes to mind, but where we can, we are leaning towards drought-resistant landscaping. We also offer weather-based irrigation. So essentially, this means that when it's a wetter week, our sprinklers don't go on as much, and when it's going to be a drier week, we use a little more water, so we're not wasting water unnecessarily. And finally, we have ongoing retrofits across campus, low-flow aerators on faucets, low-flow shower heads, and water-efficient toilets, just trying to make those products that we're using every day as students and faculty a little more efficient. And we have seen definitely payoffs from this. In 2016, we actually had our lowest water usage in about 25 years. So energy. What is the issue? California is among the top 10 states nationwide for residential electricity usage. And nationwide, electricity accounts for about 23% of greenhouse gas emissions. So that's a big contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, a big contributor to climate change. Consumption in San Diego is decreasing. We saw a 2% decrease from 2016 to 2017. So we're on the right track. However, considering the importance of this, we would like to see that continue. What is USD doing? USD has 5,000 solar panels across 11 buildings on campus, and this makes up about 7% of the electricity we use on campus. Additionally, we have a fuel cell in the west parking lot that's going to make up about another 33% of our electricity. And finally, we have retrofitted indoor and outdoor lighting. So this is LED lights, this is automatic lights, this is an ongoing effort throughout campus wherever we can, making our lighting more efficient. Again, trying to make those products that we're using every day as efficient as we possibly can. And so we have seen electrical usage decreases. For example, we've got a graph here of the Copley Library and Law Library electricity usage. You can see 2017 there in blue and 2018 there in orange. We saw a 23% decrease just in a single year. Moving on to waste. So the average American produces about 4.4 pounds of trash every day, and about 910,000 tons of waste are 910,000 tons of waste are disposed of yearly in the Miramar landfill. This is our landfill here in San Diego. The landfill is projected to fill by 2030. Originally, the lifeline was 1995. However, it was extended due to waste diversion efforts. However, there's still a long way to go. It's estimated that about 2/3 of San Diego's trash stream can be recycled. USD is not immune to this. I present to you these photos taken on campus, I think within the last year or so by someone in our office. And we've got a trash can full of recyclables there. So definitely USD could be improving our efforts to recycle as well. So what are we doing? USD offers the Sustainable Bottle program like we were talking about. For about $40, you can purchase a reusable water bottle, use it at any of the Coke machines on campus for the entire semester. That's a great way not only to save some money, but also to save waste. You're not using plastic bottles, plastic straws. We have donation bins around campus. This is particularly important during move in and move out, when residents are getting rid of a lot of items. But throughout the year, if you have items you need to get rid of, donation bins are a great alternative to throwing your items away. We have no plastic straws. We switched only to paper straws as a campus. We also offer the Coffee with a Conscience program. So if you bring a reusable mug or to-go cup to any place on campus, you can get 25 cents off your purchase. And we have single-stream recycling. So this means that if you're recycling any item on campus, it all can go in one recycling bin. You don't have to separate it, which just makes it much easier for students. All right, transportation. So what is the issue? Globally, about 22% of carbon dioxide emissions come from transportation. The typical passenger vehicle in the United States emits about 4.6 metric tons of carbon dioxide every year. And one flight from California to New York, so about a cross-country flight, is going to emit about 0.92 tons of CO2 per person. To put this in reference for you, 3 tons of CO2 per person is considered a sustainable level. So that's the level that each person on the planet could emit that could then be naturally retaken in by the environment, so by the oceans and by our forests. So you can see driving a passenger vehicle for 1 year, taking a couple flights, you're already well over that 3 tons per person, and that's not even factoring in other aspects of your lifestyle. So transportation is a huge factor of sustainability, and especially for climate change. So what is USD doing in this regard? We offer 440 bike racks on campus. Additionally, we have a bike workstation by Outdoor Adventures. You can bring your bike there, get it worked on for free. We offer a Zipcar, which is a great alternative for students looking to carpool to get off campus. And then we also have 28 electric vehicle chargers. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for students to really utilize alternative methods of transportation as opposed to that traditional gas guzzling vehicle. All right, food. I know this is becoming a bit of a hot topic now at USD. So what is the issue with food? About 40% of the food produced in the US becomes waste. So a great way to think about this is imagine going to the grocery store, you buy 3 bags of groceries, and then you drop one in the parking lot and you never see it again. That's how much food we're throwing away in the United States. Food waste, once it is in landfills, releases methane, which is a greenhouse gas. It's about 30 times more potent than CO2. So 1 unit of methane contributes to global warming about 30 times more than the equivalent unit of carbon dioxide. And food waste for a country would actually be the 3rd largest country in terms of polluting, in terms of greenhouse gases. And yet 1 in 7 people on the planet are still hungry. So how can we address this inequality? How can we address this disparity between the enormous amount of food waste that we're producing and yet ongoing hunger? So what is USD doing? USD is a fair trade campus. So in 2012, we became the 10th campus in the nation to be designated as a fair trade campus. This means that anyone who's selling us products and food has to meet certain standards, both for their employees and for the environment in which they are working. We have pre-consumer composting. So this means that any of the food you eat on campus, say you eat a lasagna at the SLP, even before that food reaches you, any food scraps from the making of that are going to be automatically composted. So even before we as students see any food that is not reaching us is composted. We also have the bio-high-tech digester, that lovely silver machine there in the corner. Everyone knows, right, that when you eat at the SLP, you're not supposed to scrape your plate. You're supposed to leave the food on there. Okay, I'm saying a few head nods. When you eat at the SLP, you should not scrape your plate. You leave your food on your plate, put it on the rack, it goes back, and it's going to go into the bio-high-tech digester. And so that essentially uses microorganisms and water to break down that food waste into gray water that can then be re-released into the natural environment. And that goes through about 3,200 pounds of food every week. So that's a really great way to divert food from reaching landfills. Additionally, we have the Montana Crossroads Garden. So behind Crossroads, there is a garden. We've got fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and that's a really great way for students to get some healthy produce as well as to eat very locally. It's the most local you can possibly get. And finally, we have Heroes Against Hunger. And this is a new service we just launched. We have text services for free food. So there's a link that you can go to online. You can sign up for texting services. Anytime there's an event on campus, say they're having an event behind the IPJ, and they've got cupcakes left over, you can get a text that says, free cupcakes, IPJ, and you've got 30 minutes to get there, and if you bring your own container, you can take that food to go. And so this is a really great way, one, for students to get some free food, as well as to reduce waste, food waste that would otherwise be going into the trash. All right, what can you do? Some simple steps for you guys, because what we do in our personal lives does matter as well. A huge item is reducing single-use. A huge thing is reducing single-use items. So I really encourage you, take a couple days, take a week even, and look at the trash you're producing. Look at how much waste you're producing and what that waste is, and try to evaluate how you can reduce it. Well, there's a lot of easy things, such as reusable straws from plastic straws, a reusable water bottle versus a plastic one, reusable utensils, bags, even things you might not think of. They have bamboo toothbrushes. You can get, instead of a traditional plastic toothbrush, that reduces the amount of plastic that goes into the making and the packaging of it. And other things like reusable razors that are great as well. All right, what else? Biking, walking, taking public transportation, again, great ways to reduce emissions from that traditional car. I know we live in Southern California, we're somewhat limited in that regard. But just across the street, we have a couple of bus stops. We've got the trolley down the road that can take you to downtown. It can take you to Old Town. Those are really great alternatives to taking your car. And plugging or using a power strip. So when you have items plugged into the wall, even if they're not in use, if you've got, for example, a phone charger plugged into the wall, it is still sucking up electricity, still using energy. We call this vampire energy. So whenever you're not using something, unplugging it or making sure to plug all your items into a power strip and then flipping off that power strip when you're not using it is a really great way to cut down on electricity usage. Adjusting your thermostat. Probably don't need your home to be 80 degrees all the time. Additionally, when it's hot here, you probably don't need that AC blasting. So we're trying to either turn down that AC or turn down that heat, so we're using less energy that way. Meatless Mondays. It takes about 1,800 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of beef. So trying to reduce the amount of meat that you eat. I'm not going to say you have to go vegan or vegetarian, but trying to cut back on meat every day or maybe go meatless 1 day a week is a really great way to reduce your environmental impact. The SLP now offers Meatless Mondays. So on Monday evenings, if you go there, they have a lot more meatless options. Makes it a little easier for you guys. Reducing your use of single-use plastics again. Buying local, buying organic as much as you can. Again, I know we're college students, we can sometimes be limited in terms of budget for that stuff, but when you can, trying to get local and organic products. Knowing local recycling and waste laws. Something very important for USD is that only plastics 1, 2, and 5 are recyclable on campus now. How many people knew this? Okay, a couple. Yes, so this is a very important change. So anytime you have a plastic item, plastic water bottle, container, whatever, there should always be a number written on the bottom of that. Make sure you're checking that before you put it in the recycling bin because only 1, 2, and 5 are going to be recyclable at USD. And putting plastics that aren't those numbers in there can mess up that recycling stream. So very important to be keeping in mind. Washing full loads of laundry on cold. About 70% of the energy that goes into 1 load of laundry is just for heating the water. So washing your laundry on cold and making sure you're washing full loads is a great way to reduce energy and water use. Taking shorter showers, pretty simple, reducing your amount of water. And then finally, reporting areas for improvement. So if you guys see something on campus that doesn't look right, you see a sprinkler going off, a faucet that won't turn off, whatever, let facilities know about it, let us know about it, and we can fix it so that we're not wasting unnecessarily. Alrighty, questions or comments? Yes?
Okay, so if I have leftover food from my event, how can I get on the Truro texting program?
Yes. Unfortunately, at this point, the program is only offered for USD catered events. We're trying to work and get student-led events on there because I know that's a big area of food waste as well. But definitely I would reach out to hospitality services about that and make your voice known because that is something that we would like to see in the future, for sure. Anything else? Yeah.
You mentioned the Modium Gardens.
Yeah.
I'm from Residential Center in Valley. They don't really know how to use it, and I don't know how to use it either.
Yeah, so basically the garden, BBGG, Be Blue Go Green, takes care of the garden. And it is free for any students to use. You can literally go up and take stuff, make a salad, eat it, whatever you want. Obviously, within reason. But any students are welcome to use that any time of the day. And again, great way to get fresh fruit and vegetables.
So it's just for taking?
Just for taking.
Okay.
Yes. That simple.
Okay.
And that goes really, I think, for any fruit trees, anything you see around campus.
I actually have something else. Okay.
Yes.
So I've talked about the paper straws before. Isn't it even on?
Okay. I've talked about the paper straws before. I don't like them. They don't work. It's sustainable in theory, but to get through one smoothie, I need at least 2 straws, and it's not really worth it. So I've been to Nordstrom E-Bar, and they have 100% plant-made, 100% compostable, plastic-filling straws, and I just don't think paper straws are worth. They're not cutting it.
Yeah. So ideally, our preference at this point, when you order any drink on campus, you shouldn't be handed a straw at all. You should have to ask for it. So the goal is for students to not use straws if possible. If you want to use a straw, obviously for something like a smoothie, that's helpful. A metal straw is a really great way to do that. Obviously it requires a bit more work on your end, but that produces no waste since it's reusable indefinitely. And so I would encourage you to probably look at those 2 alternatives if you're not having luck with the paper straw.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I also have a comment for that. It's also, so for in regards to the paper straws, and I've talked about finding a solution for this, it's post-consumer composting, and in order to get that done, we would have to, do a whole other initiative, which is something we would work on. But currently I'm focusing more on the single-use plastics, and so I definitely hear you and I understand you completely. But that's just, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Yeah.
May I ask a question? Okay. So a lot of students don't really know the 1, 2, and 5 that have to be recycled. Is there anything that can be talked within the Office of Sustainability about maybe a form on how to recycle?
Yeah. Definitely. I can bring that up to our marketing team. I agree with you. That is a recent change for us and something I think unfortunately a lot of students still don't know about. But definitely putting some more notices out there, getting more students aware of it, I agree, is very important. And I can bring that up to our team in the office for sure.
Thank you.
No, go. Sorry. Yes.
Is there any formal like auditing process for some of these initiatives? Oftentimes these initiatives, thank you, are like kind of shown to students, but sometimes they fall through in some places. So is there a formal kind of auditing process?
Yeah. So it really kind of depends on the initiative. So our office, most of these initiatives aren't really directly like run through our office. For example, like the SLP, the Bio High Tech Digester Dining Services is in charge of that. So a lot of times it's kind of up to these departments how they monitor that. And definitely we have some numbers, on like electricity usage at USD, but we don't always have power over all the information, unfortunately. But I agree with you. It would definitely be nice to have a little more info and some audits.
We've reached our time limit for this discussion. If you'd like to extend the time, you can.
I move to extend the time by 5 minutes.
Second.
I would like to remind you all that it's 1:08 and we have like 40 more minutes of stuff planned.
There's a motion on the floor to extend the time another 5 minutes. Is there any further discussion?
I just want to say, I feel like that there's a lot of things going on in this meeting today, just kind of prioritizing that, just throwing that out there. Oh, it's okay.
Just prioritizing. So if this is something that's very important to you, yeah, but I feel like there's a lot that's happening in the next 40 minutes and just keeping that in mind, so.
And I can also provide Paige's information if anybody would like to keep contact with her and her office. So, any other comments? There's a motion on the floor having been seconded to extend the time another 5 minutes. All those in favor, please raise your placards and say aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? Motion fails. Thank you, Paige. Our next item on the agenda is a brief overview of the bylaws. Marion will be going over some final things with the ASGBC bylaws, and you all can also have time to voice any pressing concerns or suggestions.
Hi everyone. So the goal for today is to potentially get this passed. We took all the considerations that you all had, so I'm going to go over I think 3 or 4 things that we had senators bring into questions and clarifications about. And then after that, if there's no more comments, I do welcome them if there are, but if there's no more comments, I would encourage you all to potentially put this to a vote so we can get the first set of bylaws passed. So the first thing is just a quick use of wordage for misuse in terms of, I think it was mismanagement, and you all wanted clarification, so it was talked about using it misuse, so we switched it to that, as well as it shall be the power and duty of the Budget Committee to deny any financial request that the committee feels would not be in accordance with ASG's or the University of San Diego's missions and values. So that's a quick change that we made. By the way, I'm going to go through these because I do acknowledge we have only 10 minutes. If you want a clarification or comment on anything, please let me know. The other one is we have decided that the Toyota Program Board Representative will be moved to a non-permanent member as they do switch halfway through the semester. And so, through the year, so sorry. And so that's just a quick switch that'll happen. They'll be moved from here to here. There was a question in terms of after, a clarification in terms of when terms for these members would start, and ideally to have its ASGBC start as soon as possible. These terms will start within after the first week of classes. So that's a clarification that we've made. I do recognize, and we also understand sometimes things happen, like this year where we were trying to figure out our finance chair situation. But this is the ideal goal. However, there could potentially be circumstances where that will not happen, but it's the goal. There was an ask to re-clarify what representatives would be from in terms of the student board representation. So all I simply did was just add the list. And then there's just a couple more. I've added Clerk of Senate to include the entire Senate lead team when it comes to discussions of appeals. I've also kept parliamentarian because they are the only one who would technically be the most knowledgeable of, of Robert's rules, and so that person we felt would be really good to have there, and we would just be adding that to the judicial bylaws and the explanation of the role of parliamentarian. If you all feel a certain way about that, please let me know. Again, we take and welcome any feedback on this. C of 3 is no longer actually relevant to it because in the past, parliamentarian could be someone who also had a voting right in budget committee. But now that that person will be part of judicial branch, that is no longer the case because the only person from judicial branch who has a voting right in finance committee will be the chief justice. So that's just going to be removed from the bylaws because it's not longer prevalent. And I believe aside from the simple majority and then a clarification here that George made because people were asking who runs the exceptions for applications funding in terms of like deadlines. We just made a clarification that it's George himself along with the controller and input from an ASG advisor who typically will be Madeline. And I believe that's it for the changes. Is there any kind of comments or questions about anything that we've taken into account or not taken into account?
I saw on there in terms of people presenting to request funding, that people would be invited. I saw it was highlighted. Was that clarified? Or like it's not mandatory that they have to present? Because it says
they're not obligated to present. They're obligated to, when they put in their funding request, to submit details of it. So if they do not present, then all we can vote on is on the details that they submit to us. If they do present, we always invite them to bring more information so that we have more information to make a decision based off of. But they're only people that are invited and go present and go present as well.
Thank you.
Anything else? Then I would strongly encourage, if you all feel confident in these bylaws, for a vote.
I move to approve the ASGBC bylaws.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the ASGBC bylaws. Haven't been seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Point of order, this will require a 2/3 majority vote to be ratified.
All those in favor, please raise your placards and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Motion passes. Yay, we have passed bylaws. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a quick overview of the Finance Committee allocations, and George will be providing information on that.
Actually, we're just going to address the one reallocation that we talked about in Finance Committee on Tuesday. It was food for Senate. That's what we're reallocating funds to. It was proposed at $3,000 for the rest of the semester, which would be like 6-7 weeks. It is either a weekly meal thing or a bi-weekly meal thing. We have not determined the schematics of that yet, but I do want to point out that there were excess funds of $2,833 and some change coming from Marion's budget already, so this would be another initiative by Marion that the funding would go to. It's short like $166 and some change. You guys will have questions regarding this that I can explain. It's pretty straightforward. Food at Senate. Available to students that come as well. It's not just senators for those of you out there.
Lydia, did you want to provide the information that this is money that is being reallocated?
Sure. So in my budget, when we met for finance committee, I did submit some excess funds that were used, that were allocated to me, but did not actually end up being fully used. Only a certain amount of it was. And I was told by a lot of people and recognized the importance of lunch. As someone who always tells people to make sure you eat, I think it's important to acknowledge that this happens during a time when people are usually eating. And I also recognize that there's like a change in the way that Senate sometimes runs because it encourages a change in mood, the way Senate runs sometimes. So what I did was from OLE weekend funding that I had been allocated to give for the first years and student leaders, as well as welcome week funding that I had been given back what I was what the final invoices and saw that there was money available for this purpose that was already allocated for this year, in this semester, sorry. I just added it up and put it on, rounded it to 3,000 just to kind of have a general number. The goal is that we wouldn't use the entire 3,000 in this semester because it is only 6 to 7 weeks left. But this could help us get an idea, a general idea of how much it would cost for each week to be able to better allocate that for next semester if it's something we want to continue. There is also potential that I will be getting a little bit more funding back from one of the funding allocations that was given to my budget. If that happens, I would be able to cover this completely with just excess funding from my own budget. I'm just waiting for those final numbers. But yeah.
And
This is not just food for senators. It would be open to anyone who came to Senate, so that would include the public. And I personally felt as though food is always kind of like the way to pull people in, and we want the public to come to our Senate meetings. And so just wanting to recognize that we didn't do this only thinking about senators, but more of like, how can we bring more people in as well?
For those of you that came regarding college leadership program, I do want to make note that this excess funds are not in any way coming from the funding that we have held. It's solely from excess funds from other initiatives. The college leadership program funds have not been touched.
Very quick question. Just so like everyone knows, when would the food be allocated, I guess? Like, would we have to show up earlier to get the food, or is this like during the Senate meetings? And if so, also like, where would the table be? Because obviously we have room in the back for everyone. Just wondering like where that would be set up and then when.
Yeah, so you can most definitely get that before you come sit down. So food will be set up before you all come in at like 12:10 potentially. And the table would probably just be in this corner. We're gonna be squeezing a little, but we will all be getting food regardless. That's it.
If this allocation does get passed by you all today, ideally we would be able to have the food by next week. I would be the person ordering it weekly, whether it's snacks or an actual meal for everyone. I would come early to set it up and invite you all to do the same as well. I understand that there are classes before we meet, but you would have the opportunity to come and eat and enjoy Senate while you're eating that as well. So it wouldn't just be like you eat before the meeting, but you can eat during the meeting as well.
Any more questions about this?
I just want to offer up a perspective of there might be like, oh, like why are student leaders getting money to eat food? While we are student leaders, that doesn't take over from us being human, and while there might be people in this room being or experiencing food insecurities, and so I know that that is something that's really heavy on a lot of hearts on campus, and so just because we do carry the title of student leaders doesn't mean that we all also are experiencing food insecurities or other struggles that face us outside of these doors as well.
Any other comments or questions, Angela?
With the money not covered by...
Wait, could you wait till Amber reaches you with the mic? Thanks, Amber.
Would the money not covered by your funds come out of other funds that we have, or where do they come from?
So like I mentioned, this funding is coming from excess funds that she has. So Ole Weekend was one of them where not all the money was spent. So money was left over, brought forward to Finance Committee, and Finance Committee voted to bring it to you guys to vote on.
Can I clarify a little bit more? So I was very conscious of when I wanted to do this initiative that it came only from money that had been allocated to me. So all of the excess funds that we used for this were from, as George stated, initiatives that had been put under my budget for this semester. And considering after being able to hear back from the person who's supposed hopefully going to give me the remaining of some excess funds that I have, this would be completely covered by excess funds that I have in my budget. And anything else that I have excess over the 3,000, I would put into the budget for something else for students to use as well. So it's all essentially coming from my budget. It's not like we're taking from another area.
Jesse?
Also, just as a note, when we do make a motion to whether or not we're going to approve or deny this, it says excess funds of $2,833.37. So we could make a motion to only pass the amount of excess funds that are already ready available to us, so it doesn't have to come from anywhere else, if that makes sense as well.
For anybody. For anyone that is fearful about this being a common practice within campus Faculty Senate, they provide food every single meeting to their faculty. Just wanted the record to state that.
I move to approve the $3,000 for food at Senate.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the $3,000. Hasn't been seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Wouldn't it be better to have 2,833.27? Wouldn't that be better?
We could always use that, like we could always use that extra fund. Like if it's not used, it's gonna go back to us, and it could be used for like potentially more food or like shipping. What's it called? Delivery. You know, like it's not, it can't be.
Sorry, I was just saying like whatever the $100 and some is could always be used for either like more food if need be, or for the delivery, or for anything that goes into like appliances, like silverware, things like that. I'm just like an even number person. I don't want to do the whole cents thing, so that's why I did that.
Convincing. Thank you.
Just as a point of order, because this is an approval of the budget, it would also require 2/3 majority against.
Any other comments?
Can we clarify, is that for weekly or bi-weekly?
That would be...
So it'll, can I address? Yes. Yeah, so it'll depend on how we see the first week as to how much money we use for the food, because I do want to recognize there's certain people
Who have dietary restrictions, like I'm a vegetarian, so that also requires like extra, making sure that everybody who's here, and also being mindful of students who might be coming to Senate, have a food option. So we're gonna use the first 2 weeks to kind of see like, well, how much does it actually cost to serve food at Senate? And then be able to decide from there, like, is it weekly, bi-weekly? My goal is to, if we can't do it weekly, to have snacks.
every week and when we don't have lunch. So that way no one goes hungry.
Any other comments or questions? All right. All those in favor of approving the $3,000 reallocation, please raise your placards and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? Motion passes. Thanks, George. Next item on the agenda is the approval of re-registering student organizations.
So these are the two organizations. Okay, these are the two organizations that we will be approving. Since they are re-registering, that means that they have been present on campus in the past, and they just need Senate to approve them in order to receive the benefits of the Toronto Org membership. The first is Delta Tau Delta, and as per the new ratification of the bylaws, will fall underneath the Greek student organization, and they are the oldest fraternity on campus. And then Nonprofit Leadership Student Association falls under Special Interest and Changemaker, and their name is self-explanatory. So, any comments on the floor or motions?
Catalina?
I can't see, but actually, Nonprofit Leadership Student Association, what does that mean? Like charity? Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
What does Nonprofit Leadership Student Association do?
Yes, so from what we got from what they presented to us is that, so they've been an organization on campus before, and basically one of their main focuses is like inviting people in who are doing the leadership minor. So it's not exclusive for doing leadership minor, it is if you want to get more involved like on and off campus, but they will be doing more like nationally affiliated stuff, like going to conferences, basically like anything involving leadership and nonprofits, and like if people are interested in learning about that or creating their own nonprofit. But yeah, they'll have more membership from leadership studies, leadership department, as well as like outside activities and involvement with the community.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
I move to approve the two re-registering student boards.
There's a motion on the floor to approve these two re-registering student organizations. Is there any further discussion? All right. All those in favor, please raise your placards and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? Motion passes. The organizations are approved. Thank you, Justin. All right. Next item on the agenda is a response from Eleanor Wheeler Vanderburg. If you would like to either use the podium or a mic, it would be up to you.
I wanted to start off with a quote from Harvey Milk. All young people, regardless of sexual orientation or identity, deserve a safe and supportive environment in which to achieve their full potential. My name is Eleanor Wheeler. I am queer and non-binary, meaning I am not a woman nor a man and fall somewhere in the middle of the gender spectrum, with woman being on one side and man on the other. Or at least that's what it means to me. I use they, them pronouns. I am a freshman at the University of San Diego, and I am the student that was targeted by the hate crime late last week. Some people in my life told me to move on and let it go. After all, even just sharing my story could put a bigger target on my back. But I've never been interested in censoring myself for others' comfort. I came into this world loud and unforgettable, and that has never changed. I have never been one to back down from a fight, to be silenced. I am an Aries after all. I am sharing my story with you not for pity, not for attention, but because I refuse to be bullied back into the closet, and I refuse to let my power be taken, and because I have the privilege where others may not to speak out. So thank you for giving me this space to share my story. Sometime in the middle of the night on October 24th, someone vandalized my dorm room door. This vandalism included transphobic and homophobic slurs, sexist slurs, and comments telling me to kill myself. Many of these slurs were written on my pride flags I had hanging on the outside of my door. I got up to use the restroom in the middle of the night, and that's when I saw this. At 3:34 a.m., it was like all the air was taken from the world. My own body couldn't hold me up, and I collapsed, sobbing into my sleeve until it was soaked with tears and snot, and my eyes swelled shut from crying, silently, to not wake up my floor mates. I sat there, shaking, unable to force myself to move and get up. I thought maybe I'd just stay there forever and give up and give in. Finally, though, I stood up as the blood in my body was replaced by pure and utter terror, and I ran to the bathroom and threw up out of sheer revulsion. I spent the rest of that night trying to come up with reasons to ever leave my room again, to not give up, to not give in. I don't know if you've ever felt this feeling. I hope and pray you haven't and never have to, but I don't think I'll ever find the right words to describe it. 41% of non-binary people say they have attempted suicide in their lives. Lesbian, gay, and bisexual kids are 3 times more likely than straight kids to attempt suicide at some point in their lives. And each time an LGBTQ person is a victim of physical or verbal harassment or abuse, they become 2.5 more times likely to hurt themselves. Frankly, I don't care if my existence makes you uncomfortable. Deal with it. Because this is life-threatening to me and my community. You may be disgusted by my love, by my truth, but did you know that I stayed up for 2 nights straight sitting on my floor by my door in silence out of fear that this bigot would come back? Did you know that I spent an entire day planning on dropping out? Did you know that when I am on campus now it feels like I can't breathe? Did you know that every single time I meet someone new, I wonder if my truth will put me in harm or even kill me? Did you know that every night since it happened, I've been having nightmares of being beat up while being called these same slurs? Do you realize that you may be able to move on and forget this happened in a week, but I will never have the privilege of forgetting? This incident's scars will be there forever. So to those who have told me to let it go, move on, for those who want me erased, for those who think people like me don't deserve to live, you are wrong. To those who want my silence in exchange for your violence, get ready to hear me shout. I am not going anywhere anytime soon, and my voice will only grow louder. And I hope whoever you are, whoever did this, reads this, hears my voice, and knows what an impact your actions have had, and you never, ever do it again. You have to live with this guilt, and I will never let you take my pride from me. I have fought far too hard for it. And know you have committed a federal hate crime, and both SDPD and USP Public Safety are investigating thoroughly. I am speaking out because whoever did this heinous act wants to erase me. They want to silence me. They want to take my power and my pride, and that is simply not an option for me. They are cowards, and it's hard for me to believe that right now because this fear is still bone deep and constant a week later. But that's the truth. I'm also speaking out because we must enact change to ensure no student ever has to go through this again. I'm speaking out because I will not allow this to be swept under the rug. I will not allow us as a university to forget that this happened. And I will not allow for complacency because let me be clear, complacency is violence. We must do better and we can do better. This is not a truth we have to accept. It is one we absolutely must challenge until the truth of our campus community is one of whole and unconditional safety, support, and acceptance. And we need to do it now. And this is not just about me. This is about the entire USD LGBTQ+ community. There are LGBTQ+ students, faculty, staff, and administrators all around us, even if we don't know it. And we deserve better. LGBTQ rights are human rights. So we will keep demanding better, and we will demand change until it happens. And I ask you, ASG, as well as the campus as a whole, to not forget about us until there is another act of violence. Learn from this, do better, Together, we can be proactive instead of reactive. I'm also speaking out because as a campus, we have a right to know when there may be a threat to us, especially to my trans and queer siblings. If you have experienced this type of violence and hate, you are not alone, and I encourage you to come forward if you are able and safe to do so, and know you always have a friend in me. And to all of my fellow students, if you saw or heard anything before, during, or after the time of the incident, please come forward. I want justice. I deserve justice. Lastly, I want to say this. Stick together. Have each other's backs. Start the tough conversations. When you hear or see bigotry, call it out and report it, even if it's from your best friend. Nothing changes if we don't talk about it. Protect your trans and queer friends and classmates. Ask them what they need and listen. Accompany them to the bathroom or any other place they may feel unsafe without question, and be loud about your allyship. Make sure our LGBTQ+ students know that they are safe with you. Make this person and any others like them the outlier, and make them know that this is unacceptable and will not be tolerated by us. My name is Eleanor Wheeler. I am the survivor of this hate crime, and I will not be silenced. I will not let this act of hatred and bigotry take my power. I am powerful. I am valid. I am proud. I will not let this go. I will not move on. I will not forget. I will not be bullied back into the closet. I will use my voice. I will make change. I hope you'll join me. We are change makers. Let's show the world that.
Would any representative from ASG like to voice a response? Jesse?
I would just like to say that on behalf, I'm speaking for myself really, but as a student leader on the campus, I just want you to know that you're heard and that you're seen and that we value you here. And as a first year student, that isn't something that you should have to go through within the first month or month and a half of your experience here. And so whatever it is that we as student leaders, and my committee in particular, can help you to do, and I know that you've probably received a flood of support, and if you haven't, I'm sorry, and I'm offering it to you now. So whatever we can do, and however we can help you, whatever spaces we can give you and the rest of the community access to, I'm willing to be that door for you.
Maya?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Jesse said. I am also someone that I think, like, I really understand that this was a horrible thing that happened to you. I'm really sorry that within your first year you have to see this ugly side of humanity. I mean, I know you've probably seen it in your life, but it's very real when it happens, like, on your door, and this is a place you're supposed to feel safe and all of that. So I just want to reach out as well, say I am also a person that can support you. I know a lot of my friends are too. We have like basically like an entire group of people that are also ready to take action if you need anything. You call me, beat me if you want to reach me, like all of that. Yeah.
We've reached our time with this discussion. If anyone would like to say something, you can make a motion to extend the time.
A motion to extend the time. About 5 minutes.
Second. There's a motion on the floor, haven't been seconded, to extend the time another 5 minutes. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your placards and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And any abstention? Motion passes. Ginny?
I just wanted to thank you for your bravery and echo your feelings of not wanting it to stop at the conversation. I think we do that a lot at this campus where we talk about things and nothing gets done. So I want to make sure that we don't stop at conversating.
Hi there, my name is Dr. Reifer, and I'm the professor in the sociology department, and I'm also on the University Senate, and the head of the University Senate asked if some of us could come here today, and basically we just want to communicate our support of love and support for you, and we're in solidarity with you. Many of us will be at the vigil in support of LGBTQ students tonight at 6 p.m. And USD bears a special responsibility to deal with these things because in the past, the administration hasn't always been supportive of our LGBTQ students, but there are those of us that believe that you students represent our future, and we're all here in solidarity with you, and anything we can do to help you and anybody else to make you feel supported, we just want you to know that we're here for you. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Fantasy. Thank you, Eleanor, so much for sharing your story and your vulnerability. I want to echo all of the support and solidarity and thoughts and prayers, if you will, but also I'm all about action, and I'm really about keeping this campus accountable, especially when I hold the position of being a bridge of students and officials and higher ups. I'm all about going to them. I know I'm 4'11", but I will literally fight as hard as I can, and I'm very serious, very passionate about that. I will miss class. I will do what I need to do to make sure people are held accountable, because it should be ongoing. It should be talked about. The student or students who did this should be expelled immediately, and that's a public statement I'm making right now, because that's exactly how I feel about being on this Changemaker campus, is being accountable to the change making that's happening on campus. So please, if you need to reach out to me, we can connect, but other than that, we need people who are about the action to do something about this.
Amber? Sorry.
Hi, I just wanted to emphasize what everyone has been saying, and that I support you and I stand with you. And I really want to make this campus a safer place for not just you, but for everyone, because no one deserves that. So please reach out to us and don't stop fighting. Thank you.
First, I want to echo this because I know I've told you this before, but you are genuinely such a brave and amazing person, and I am so humbled to have been able to talk to you, and I'm so honestly excited for the future if that is you, because I really see amazing things happening. I also want to make a promise to you publicly that I won't let this conversation die under the rug. I am very lucky to be able to talk to administrators almost on a weekly basis, and I promise you this is not a conversation that I'm going to let die. I will bring it up, and I will make sure that there is accountability for what's happened, and I will make sure that it's not forgotten, because it shouldn't be. This happens way too often, and it's forgotten, and I refuse to let that happen this year.
So I'm hearing a lot of I support, I will hold people accountable, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not hearing a lot of how, and I think that's more so what the student here is looking for. How will we be holding people accountable? How will we put systems in place that will no longer let this intolerable shit happen to students on campus? I understand the whole wanting to be in support and standing in solidarity, but you're not showing me how you're going to do that, and that's really frustrating me. And so I really want to push you all and challenge you all to really think about the how and not so the what.
Is that a direct response?
Yeah, I mean, I have a response. I think that can we start an ad hoc committee to address this issue?
That,
Yes, there's always, so we have standing committees, but there's always an opportunity for the Senate or senators to create an ad hoc committee. So yes, that is an opportunity that is available to you all.
Do we have to do a motion, or do we just do it ourselves, or how does that?
Not that I don't want anyone else to take up this work, but the Inclusion, Diversity, Equity Committee is for that purpose. And so nobody has to be assigned to that committee in order for you to come to our meetings and voice that concern. But I'm fully in support also of an ad hoc committee being formed as well. So I just want to offer that up for perspective as well.
Once again, we share time limit for this discussion, but please feel free to make a motion to extend it.
I move to extend this discussion by 10 minutes. Second.
There's a motion on the floor, having been seconded, to extend the time another 10 minutes. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your placards and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay.
Well, my name is Gabriel. I'm the chair of the American Indian Student Organization on campus. I just want to say thank you. I understand, like, I'm an Aries as well, and like this pisses me off. So one problem that I discussed in one of my classes was the language used when you Google USD hate crime. The first thing that pops up, you click on it, it's under the page of public safety, incidents and reports, and it says hate crime / acts of intolerance. The problem is that you're putting that both in the same category, and they're not the same thing. And hate crime is much more severe than that. And when you put it in the same category, you're taking the severity away from that, which this is a hate crime. And it's sad that the USD Vista labels it as a hate crime, but the university itself, within its policy, doesn't label it as a hate crime. They put it in the same category as an act of intolerance. So what this allows is for loopholes for the suspects, you know, the people who commit these acts, to get away with it. And the language within, under the hate crimes, act of intolerance section, it says USD is a diverse community of which we are proud. And it says sometimes some of our newer students come from environments that are not as rich in culture and religious diversity. That right there is an excuse, and that should not be an excuse for hate, because when you're at the age of 5 or 4, you're a toddler, you are not taught this. You are taught this because your parents have failed you to be a good person. It's no excuse. You're 18 and up, you should know right from wrong. As a person who's been bullied their entire childhood, it doesn't matter if I agree with you or not. You do not tell someone to kill themselves. You do not call them these things, because this person could have killed themselves. If they weren't as strong as they were, and a lot of people in this community, they're not, they take their lives. And it's not being treated as severe. Now, I don't know what we have to do to change the language of this within USD's policy, but it needs to happen. And so, in response to the question that was over here, like, how is this change going to come? You know, that's just one thing to look at. So,
thank you. Alana?
I'm Alana.
Hello, I'm Alana. So, being a student here at USD for 4 years now, it is a very frustrating concern, to say the least, that this school brings up issues without any plan to fix that. So a lot of students on campus got very tired of that. And there is this sort of underground secret network of students who are on call and ready to go whenever and for whatever. So I say this as not a student leader, because they can't say this, but me and my friends are infiltrators of systems. We get in these meetings and we get in these buildings and we make sure that we do not leave until change happens. We have sat outside of buildings, we have ran inside of buildings, we have sent letters to this, that, and the other. We've got news stations to come here, we've got plans changed. We have people on public safety committee boards and this, that, and the other. So the bottom line is, in these meetings where you have all of these officials and this, that, and the other, where they can't say, you know, like, yeah, we're gonna do this and that and the other. I'm not that person, neither are my friends. So if we're looking at how we can actually get in and have this discussion, know for a fact that there is a group of students on this campus that are ready. Please come up to me, Alana Bledman, if you would like to get into this group of infiltrators in the system, because the group is getting bigger and bigger, and we're about to be the majority, and we're about to change the entire culture of this campus so that these types of things don't exist, and if they do exist, that somebody is held responsible, and we're not using bullshit semantics to try to get away from the problem. We're addressing these problems. So when Marion says she's going into those exec meetings, I believe her. When everyone on this campus, when Jesse says he's gonna do what he needs to do, he sure will. So just know that I know it can get complicated in this setting, trying to figure out who are the people that you can trust and go to. Know that it's me, and know that it's my friends. So, you really hit me up if there's a problem. I'm not going to cause a problem, but just that was my spiel. We're doing work. And if you want to have, your name, please?
Eleanor.
Not Eleanor, the one that just said the question about support in the middle row.
Oh, me, Manny.
Yeah. Manny, thank you, Manny, for sharing. Please come up and speak with me about action, because I can assure you that we are trying to get action and not just any more emails around the problem and how we're so sorry. We don't do that here anymore.
Thank you. Jesse?
Manny, I want to answer your question because I feel like it wasn't answered, and I want to give you a response that you're probably not going to be in favor of, but I feel the need to say this. And a lot of the times when things like this happen on campus, there is a lot of pressure that's put on students like us to be kind of like the igniters of change, right? And I can promise you that this room is full of people who are on the ground doing the footwork that is responsible for trying to answer things like this. But what I can also tell you is that it has to come from not only the level of students in this room, but the level of administrators, and specifically when I use the word administrators, because I know that's a very complicated term around here, I'm talking about those on the executive council, the president, the provost, the vice presidents, because how often do we see them walking around campus talking with students? How often do they get out of their offices and really mingle with students? Because the response that I get a lot of the time when I have these conversations is, you know what? They're really disconnected from students. They really just don't understand. And I personally am really tired of hearing that. Because I'm sorry to bring this in here, but I don't pay $70,000 a year to hear that somebody who handles the finances or my funds on this campus can't get up off their butt and leave their office and have a simple conversation with me. I'm tired of seeing pictures of President Harris just plastered in specific places around campus where the money is and not where the students are. Because I can promise you that the money that comes to run this campus is coming from students like myself and other students in this room who pay to come to this university. And when you pay to come to university, what you're paying for is for them to invest in you. Not only for you to invest in the university itself. And so I can't keep on guarantee you that Aaron, that Stacy, that Mike Dad, that Jen, that Dr. Avery aren't tired of having to answer questions for people who are at different pay grade from them and who refuse to come out from their offices and answer these questions. And it's not only now that we see this, but it's when we saw the death threat that happened on campus not that long ago, when I sat in front of the president's office, and when Monsignor Dillabo came out, the student asked him, "Can I stop for a second and talk with you?" And his response was, "I've already heard it all in the office. You can come see me some other time." And what that tells me is, in my opinion, on this campus isn't valued, and it doesn't matter. And I know that's probably not the answer that you want, but it's the experience that we have had on this campus since the moment that I transferred here last August. And it's what my friends have to go through, it's what Black students have to go through on this campus, it's what Latinx students have to go through on this campus, what queer students have to go through on this campus on a consistent basis. And I'm telling everyone in this room that I personally am tired of it. Because I go home and I stress out about what other students of color, what other queer students, what other marginalized students on this campus have to deal with, because it's exhausting. Because people refuse to come out of their offices and answer questions and face the hard facts. Is that nobody is answering the really tough questions that need to be answered on a level that's far beyond anyone else's pay grade.
Andrew?
First of all, I wanted to say thank you for sharing your story. I was actually personally a target of an assault at Ohio State University, and I had a similar experience where the administration did not take action. They simply told me that it might be safer to stay away from campus. The student did not get expelled. That was actually the reason why I left the university. And I did not want to see the same situation happening at another school. We need to make change happen so that these perpetrators are held accountable.
Thank you. Leslie?
I hear all of your concerns around the table, and I really encourage the senators as well as the exec team, including myself, to really step outside of this room and get educated on these issues. I know for myself, I don't identify as a trans or queer person, but I am trying to make that step and learn more and be educated and use our privileges. We have this powerful platform, but we also have our different identities that give us privilege. And we look around the room and we see a lot of marginalized identities around the table, and we have seen time and time again how we are represented not just through different historical events, but also with the USD Vista. And seeing that there are students here that have the privilege of being white, males, fully abled, all of those that give you an extra leverage, speak for those that can't. And that really goes to show how we can all stand in solidarity. So I acknowledge how everyone wants to make change and is super supportive, and I am all for that, but really be efficient with your time. We are on week 8 or 9, and we really need to get moving. We need to start creating this change that we're talking about, not just sit around a table, and that goes for me as well. It is gonna take time, but if we can't just sit here and do nothing and leave this room and say, I support you. And I really appreciate what Manny said, where he really encouraged us. They encouraged us, sorry about that, to get more involved with our students. And I know there's a lot of pressure on us around the table, at least, to always be the ones speaking out. But we have a great amount of public here today, and I encourage you as well to use us and connect with us. We all come from different backgrounds, different perspectives, and we can really create something great here.
We've reached our time limit for discussion once again. You can make a motion. I would just like to remind everyone that it's 2 o'clock. And we have final business hearing with public. Dr. Avery?
Jesse, I know you mentioned that anybody is welcome to come to the committee meeting. Can you please let people know the time and location?
Yeah. So my committee meets on Mondays at 8 p.m. in the SLIC, so the ASG cubicle, which is on the 3rd floor of SLP.
ASG and TPD, just for the record. All right, if there are no motions, we will continue on with our agenda. Next item on the agenda is final business and hearing of the public. At this time, any senator may take from the table any motion previously laid on the table in the meeting the week before or present urgent business. Any member of the public may voice any concerns to the assembly on non-agenda items. Mary Logan?
Hi, so I'm Mary Logan Miskey. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Senator of the Vistas, and I'm happy to see so many people here today. Just kind of wanted to say like a couple comments in there. One, to the senators, I know it's 2 p.m., but we haven't gone over yet. And 2, also, I just kind of wanted to ask that you guys be patient. I know that it's not, I don't know if you guys are like tired or whatever, but I think it's really important to look around and see how many people are here. So I really ask that you be patient with everything that's going on. And if you need to go to class, by all means, like go to class. But I'll be here because I really want to hear from constituents, and I think that we should take advantage of that. And then addressing everyone in the room. I know that there's issues about, like the college leadership program, and so like I really want to hear your feedback because I'm just kind of being aware that don't be too angry with some of the senators because we are new senators that didn't vote on the college leadership, so just kind of throwing that out there that's something that we haven't done yet. And so I'm just like throwing that out there. And also, I really want to hear your opinions too, because the LIFT initiative is something that I had come up with, and now it's like becoming a thing. And we're trying to gather up how much money is used for that. So I kind of just want to reiterate the fact that that's something that I think would benefit a lot of students, but I could be wrong. So I kind of want to know where the priority is, if it's college leadership or LIFT. And obviously you don't have to answer that, but I would love to hear the feedback on that. So just throwing that out there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Simon Finney, and I'm speaking on behalf of Easton Griffin and Christian Ortley, who are the creators of a Wall Street Journal petition, which currently has 208 counting signatories. We are aware of a second petition, but are unaware of the amount of signatories that it has. We'd firstly like to thank the Associate Student Government for welcoming our opinions. We applaud your willingness to listen and take into consideration opinions which are against your own decisions. However, we and all of those who have signed our petition disagree with ASG's decision to remove the Wall Street Journal access for students at this institution. The Wall Street Journal is one of, if not, the most recognizable publications in the world. It produces articles of the highest quality, informing readers of events on global issues, the economy in both domestic and international settings, politics, and a myriad of other topics. The journal is closer to unbiased than any other major domestic publication, allowing for students to create their own opinions on the information presented. The University of San Diego prides itself on creating well-rounded students. However, we don't believe that this philosophy should stop with every student being required to complete classes in theology, science, or math. In order to be well-rounded, students must be aware of the global environment, which, quite frankly, is not achieved in the classroom. The Wall Street Journal bridges this gap by giving students the ability to easily access material that allows them to be up to date with global events and will therefore be in global events. Without access to the journal, we fear that many people will cease to be current with these events and will therefore become a less productive member of this university. We would like to make comment on a few statistics and propositions made in George's email sent on Monday, October 28th. Firstly, a 20.7% readership is absolutely incredible. To think that 1 out of 5 people on this campus does anything is a feat unto itself. The only 2 things that we could think of where 1 out of every 5 people would be is dinner time at the SLP and when Gonzaga comes to play basketball. Secondly, the access provided by the Copley database satisfies none of the needs of the readers at this university. The access in Copley is intended for research purposes. Students need the ability to read today's headlines in an easy-to-access, easy-to-read format. To find articles on the Copley database, you must first go to the Copley website, search for journals, search for the Wall Street Journal, browse issues in year, month, day order, and then find what articles you're interested in on a bland search page. Students will not do this, we promise. What students will do is open up an app and read articles